Hi, I'm Peachy, and I've just returned from fishing in the North Sea.
Oh, I get the reference.
Hi, I'm an idiot.
And apparently, that makes me Captain Bedtime.
Oh, I got so many comments about his jumper. I don't think they've been fishing in the North Sea. Got a fisherman's friend. Heard it all before.
I was chatting on Discord this morning. Somebody mentioned that their hot water wasn't working this morning. And I was like, oh no. And he was like, just what you need in the middle of winter. And when anybody says middle of winter, I always think there was like an old advert for like really like extra strong mints.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, it's like dinner skipping in the middle of winter. And any time I say middle of winter, I have to really think about it. Because I just want to go Whittler Minter. It just rolls off your tongue better. Yeah. And then one of the other guys is like, oh yeah, I know that one. He says, oh, it makes you dong tizzy.
No beds to rub them into.
There's something powerful about adverts, because I still remember the phone number for Cold Steel Windows. It's so bizarre.
Oh, you told me about it being quite an angry head, didn't you?
I said you buy one. Oh, like 1 free. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, somebody went up to him in a club and was like, I said you buy one. He's like,
Wasn't he like a wrestler kind of guy, something like that?
I mean, yeah, he looks like one.
Wasn't he just the original owner of the company? I thought I was involved. Why was he dressed like a lawn man?
Did you ever see and it was I saw it on TV once, and I think it was on Tarrant on TV after that, and then it was just on YouTube, but it was banned. There was one, I think it was Cold Steel Windows, and there's a woman in latex, red latex, with like painted fingernails, just stroking people saying about seductive way. It's like, this is weird. What a weird approach.
She's never going to be keeping nails like that when she's fitting her windows.
There's some, yeah, typing in banned adverts is quite funny. I remember there's a condom advert, and there's this kid just having a tantrum in a supermarket, and he's throwing stuff on the floor because the dad's like, no, you can't put the sweets in the trolley. And he just goes mental, and he's just like, looks off into the distance, and it's just like, and then it's like, Durex. Well, I don't think it was Durex. It was There's some really dodgy Skittles ones as well.
Yeah,
about tasting the rainbow.
Yeah.
But I won't go into that.
No. Yeah. I'm sporting my new book today. I got a gift from a friend at work.
That's fun as happens.
He just says thank you. I won't say the name just in case that I get into trouble for gifting it.
A friend at work. This isn't work.
No, sorry. Thanks work.
I was going to say, because I thought, well, it could only be one or two of us. So what's the impact?
So I still say I'm still stuck there.
Yeah,
I'm still stuck. My brain is still at workshop. Every now and again, I'm like, we and work.
It penetrates your soul, doesn't it? Yeah.
I always have.
It's 20 years.
Yeah.
I've read it, but I always have. I have a little boy who comes into the barbershop and always brings me that photograph of when they chopped Thor's hair short and cold like the rock.
Oh yeah,
and he gives him that Stanley. He gives him that ropey sort of like haircut with the gaps in it, and then he, as he always walks out, he goes, "See you later." I'm like, "That was like, see you later, little man, bye." As he walks out, I always, just as I shut the door, I always just go, "He's a friend from work." It's always really loud. Now they look a bit disappointed if I forget.
Oh no, that's great.
Man, she's a fraud.
We haven't even talked about. It's been a couple of minutes. We've not talked about GW releases.
We did. We talked about me.
I was doing your old.
And no, it's still
old job / current job.
Yeah. I mean, what are you building there?
I'm gonna while I'm on air, seeing as I've got no other time to do it, I might have a little bit of start to build my old Land Raider Proteus, which I got with me Secret Santa money from my Rubbery family.
I mean, I was there when you bought it.
You were?
And it cost you
250?
Yeah, 250, 275.
Yes, that's a bargain. Yeah, 250. So, I don't play Horus Heresy, but I do have this thing that because I'm so ridiculously anal about it, I can't give my Death Guard new vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Because if their armour is that old, the idea of the buzzing out the new Rhinos and the new Land Raiders just slightly freaks me out.
Yeah.
So, and as you can kit this one out with all of the same weaponry as a standard Land Raider.
To be fair, that's probably pretty law-based, though, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. I mean, I don't expect, like, don't get me if I'm wrong, they don't just rock up to the new factory and go, right, lads, let's take that with the chaos and then think of that. But so to me, it just seems right that
if their armor's old, then their armor's old, then their armor is old as well.
I like that. I feel like that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, it does to me.
yeah, like maybe Death Guard wouldn't go to a new Rhino factory.
Yeah.
Just be like, pardon me, but Drasner.
The idea of them trying to paint their armor before they go in.
Yeah, or like maybe if like
Why's that Ultramarine got a weird tentacle come up the side of his ear?
yeah, like could you, I don't know, paint it in like ultramarine colours and then give it a Death Card, kind of like
No shadow grand.
You know what we want to do?
What?
Is build that resin.
No, they used to be in Resin.
Yeah, I remember getting hold of a Valkyrie. I saved up for a Valkyrie, and the instructions was, here's a wing, here's the interior cockpit, is it finished? I asked, and I had a bag of resin. I was like, I have no idea.
Isn't that like the paint instructions on the back of the box?
Oh yeah, that's the old
colours and they've got colours and heavy metal paint.
I watched the painting coach's most recent video about
he took a light.
colour wheelie CF, and it was like 5 tips about picking colours for your Warhammer army, and he picks up the Custodes combat patrol, and he's just like, no one's painting these in Orichalma gold. Like that.
Yeah, I don't want to think I've known that anyway.
No one's base coating them.
I used to have to pick those colours at the back.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if I remember, because I talk about stuff all the time. I can't remember if I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but back in the day when I was in the oil painting team, Miniatures had their packaging team. So the packaging team was heavy metal and miniatures. They were referred to as packaging painters, but I think they preferred the title Heavy Metal, so it became Heavy Metal again.
Okay.
But the packaging team used to do all the artwork for the front of the box, the photography, and then all the stuff that goes on here.
Yeah.
All the spear that you get on there, as well as the paste. And you used to get a couple of them come up and go, oh, have you got an idea for list of paints for this packet? And it was more like just as a favour from time to time. Because we're already doing stuff for the army.
Yeah.
So I note down a couple of things. And eventually became like a bit of a full-time job. Then I was like, I can't really do this because I've actually got an actual job to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for a time we were actually trying to go like base coat, shade, layer, dry brush, base coat, shade, layer, dry brush, base coat, the highlight, or whatever you do.
Yeah.
But I think in the defensive workshop, the people that do the packaging probably aren't hobbyists, and they just go, yeah, that looks close,
that's all.
Stick that on.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a suggestion as opposed, but really, if you're doing packaging and you want that to be right, because I remember like Airfix diggers or Revel or Italia, they're like a Zulu War British soldier. You get like a box of like 52 little plastic 20mm figures, right? You cut off the sprue, you play, that's what I did.
Did you say Zulu War?
Zulu War, yeah.
They don't like them up them.
They don't like them up them, no. And the Zulus used to have separate spears and shields, which was a nightmare fitting them all in. And using them. It was great, though. So I used to like throw the spears into the red coat. They'd be like, they'll die. It's fun. They used to do all sorts of but
hope you did the sound effects at the same time.
Oh, no, absolutely. Back to the point. They used to actually have at the back of the box the colours that you used to paint them. Then it'd be like fire engine red. And for the trousers, it'd be like royal blue.
Okay,
and it'll be like dirt black and stuff like that. So you knew what colours you'd need. Yeah, because it's been referenced properly. But
black sounds like a good colour.
What's that? Dirt black. Oh, that was something like dirt black or like dingy black or something. Old humble colour. But yeah, I mean, you go to your local hobby store and you find those paints and they look like they do on the box.
Oh, that's good.
Whereas we're shopping a multi-million pound company, how I'm getting it right.
Well, and also like Heavy Metal, you can't.
No.
As I'm sure you found, as I know you found in your job as a painting presenter for marketing, and I can imagine that the current painters go through this as well.
Yeah.
Is that it's kind of like, right, that's what Heavy Metal looks like, and if you go, yes, Heavy Metal, please. Yeah, how did you paint this? Okay, well, it's a 27-step process. So it uses the mixing of 17 paints.
Yeah.
You can't teach how to.
Well, even Ninjon pointed a whole couple of shows on that. He did one a while ago about Death Guard, and then he did one recently
about Guard.
Yeah, and he did that can painting them by exactly. Yeah. And he made out that someone on the inside had given him the Imperial Guard recipe.
Yeah.
And it was with the percentages of what paints to go with what, to blend with what. You go, it was easy to buy a box that just had the instructions as to do the paint.
And it was interesting, like how to do the like I have a lot of respect for Ninjon in how he, as a YouTuber, like packages up his video.
Yeah.
Because he was like, it was a video on how to paint the standard, I say standard, but like box art Cadian trooper.
Yeah.
But he was like, this is how heavy metal paint miniatures and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I'm never going to paint the Cadian in like those standard things. But it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how it was done, the process.
Having the base coat and then mixing it down and mixing it up and all that sort of stuff. And they don't use, this is something we talked about a little bit before, I think, is how like they don't use washes.
No, and sometimes they don't even use textile colours. They use whatever. I don't know.
I mean, that was a rumor I know back in the day, and I remember chatting to someone, and it was like it's mainly used to be citadel colours, apart from the metallics.
So as someone that worked out with painting, I had a couple of staff who were very fond of sort of Vallejo silvers or
Got to be on my well, just crumbling.
And then they're all like, I'm going to paint a black or this, that, and the other. And they're like, it covers better than this.
Yes.
I'm like, cool, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're using Citadel.
Yeah.
Because that's what we sell.
Yeah.
And certainly, if it was like for an arm and it was speed-based, I wasn't that bothered. Because, like say we've got like tight deadlines and stuff. If it meant that they were saving enough time to do an extra unit by using these colours, I wasn't that bothered.
Yeah.
But when it came to paint guides, like the stage by stages, it had to be Citadel.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're lying.
Yes.
And you can't like say, hey, this black covered in one coat and it covers in like 3 or 4. Not that I bet. And this is the other thing that I always found. So, granted, we use other colours now, like AK, we've been using Armour Paint, we've been using Vallejo Pro Grill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm finding like, I like the white here, I like that gold there.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to using workshops paints for 20 plus years that you become accustomed to them.
Yeah.
So you know the properties, you know what they can and can't do. And I have never struggled with speed. Yeah, you could argue that quality might suffer with like some of the whites because they're quite chalky, but again, it's just about mixing it and it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that sometimes just for better end results, that they probably use other company paints out there. And rightly as it was, I remember, it was the first set of contrasts. We had a load of guys attend like a thing. It was like an event, and we were talking through like different colours and stuff. And they were saying, Retributor Armour's probably one of the best golds out there.
Yeah.
At that time, whether it still is now, I don't know. But then they're like saying to the guy who runs the product department, like, your white's rubbish. It's naff. And it's like, he took that on board. It was just like, well, these guys use every white available out there in the market. So we need to look up making our white better then.
Yeah.
So, it's good that you can get these people that use all these different colours and go, this is the best kind of white out there. This is the best kind of black out there. Your gold's fine.
Yeah.
This red's fine. So,
what I found really interesting about, because we have like the suitcase of AK paint.
Yes, yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored. I bought it.
Yeah, you did.
They did send us some other stuff, but they didn't have to send us the paints because we already had them. One thing I liked about them was they have like a range of like single pigment paints, but in loads of the different colours. So I think they're called like intense colour or something like that. They have like a yellow.
Yeah, is that like the base
label on them? And that's really cool. So like some of the reds, there's like a red that's single pigment, a black, and a white. I think that's a cool way of doing it. I'm sure like every company could have the best everything.
Yeah.
Like something must get in the way. Like I imagine with GW, it'd be like, no, because that paint would have to be 325, that one would be 270, that one would have to be 385 because we have to have this much markup. And they're like, right, well, put 5p less pigment in it and then it can all be the same price. And then you have that crap paint.
Well, I remember when they were trying with Retributor Armour, because you get two types of metallics. You get like metallic flecked ones and then like pearlescent metallics. The pearlescent metallics are more like layer paints because they don't cover every black particularly well. So like origami, for instance, is more of a thing that when we did the Crusaders video, it's more as a layer over the gold.
Yes.
To add that extra bit of spangle and glitter.
Yeah.
Whereas Retributor Armour has got more metallic face. And I remember one of the guys, I'll call him the paint scientist because that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
Or is. And I think they were trying to do a mix of both. So it was like it covered really well, but still had all the pearlescent flex to it. I can't remember what the science behind it, and I'm sure someone out there that knows all this can drop it in the comments. But they tried to do like a mix of the two, and they had like a note sent out to him, and there was a chemical reaction, and there must have been a build up of pressure inside the parts. And they came back after a weekend, there was just gold all up on the list. They just popped open and stuff like that. So it was like, oh wow. So sometimes like trying to get the best of both worlds actually won't work.
No.
Chemicals and solids.
Because is it white has to be a bigger pigment?
Well, white is larger than black.
Yeah.
Black. Yeah. So the way I remember like talking about sprays and stuff like black sprays versus white spray, but like Corex white was an off-white, Grey Sears an off-white.
Yeah.
Is that it was explained like if you get a load of like golf balls, pour them into a jar, that's white spray.
Yeah.
If you get a load of marbles, pour them into a jar, that's black spray.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
However, if you put a bit of black with white, then
it fills the gap.
It fills the gap. So that was the idea. So it was meant to. I never had an issue with Corex white. I heard so many people talk about Corex white covering really frosty and textured, and it was really fuzzy.
Yeah.
I had smooth undercoat in my Corex white.
I've never used it. I've only sprayed White Scar.
Yeah, and I was sad when Corex white left because although the pot still exists. Which has its downside sometimes because it becomes your pot is like a holy grail of like Corex white. I don't know what he's done.
Terrible. Some of the light colours in games are terrible to separate.
I remember one of my old colleagues used to call pallid witch flesh pallid witch chalk. I just became like
I'm using pallid witch flesh as the base colour for the face of my Dalak.
Yeah,
and if you really give it a really good rattle. It's not bad, to be fair. It's probably one of the best pallid witch flashes I've had in a while.
I generally think, and again, this is just, conjecture, and there's no facts here. This is just from experience of using Sizzle paints for so long. I do feel that a lot of the colours I used to use a lot have changed and have become a bit thinner. So Rackar Flesh used to be a certain tone of this sort of like dead, sort of Drakari kind of flesh.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more, it's a bit more readiness to it now than what it used to be. So like pale, quite sort of stone, sort of off-white stone kind of tone.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's got a bit more readiness to it, but it's separated. It looks like porridge, and I shake it up loads. It looks So I've actually got an original pot still because I've got a 6-pack. So I'll
just been working out a lot.
Well, yeah, I thought I'd buy a 6-pack and get them all tamed and all that. So colours I use a lot like that, some washes, some certain base paints that I use tons. I always just get like a bulk of them.
Yeah.
And I've still got some of the old ones, and I look at them, they're so different in tone, so different, and it's like smooth. It looks like milkshake, thick milkshake, and through. Whereas the new stuff looks like separated porridge. It's like you get like curdled.
Yeah, it's like coagulated.
Yeah, it's just horrid. They're not the same paint anymore.
Oh, wow.
So they've either been thinned down or they've just changed the recipe or what. But
so
not impressed.
You're saying we need to start like a Make Rackar Flesh Great Again.
Yes.
Movement.
Yeah. I don't know if we should get the Rackar Flesh.
But then seeing as we quite like the new formulated null oil, we will shun anyone that starts the Make Null Oil Great Again.
I can't fight them in the straw. Black art.
That's the white flesh tone now. So I'm doing my Necromunda, and I have this go-to skin tone that I use, which is Rackar Flesh thinned down with Gulliman Flesh in the top, a couple of coats of Gulliman Flesh, then tie it back up with Rackar Flesh again.
Familiar. Yeah.
And then maybe I'd do one more glaze of Gulliman, and then I literally use 2 paints.
If your highlights are a bit too
Our highlights are a bit too stark, as you may have seen in some of the videos. Gulliman Flesh has changed. Rackar Flesh has changed. So my skin tones are now looking caca.
All right.
As a better tone. I was about to say something really rude, but my internal police was like, no, there's children possibly watching. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just like they've changed supplies or they're just different mix.
I heard a rumour that like Chaos Black was like, that was the old black. That was the black that I used like when I was a kid and I painted my first like models. The people that produced that are now like army painter or something like that.
From the factory or whatever. I heard this. I don't know know what's truth is in it, but I know that some other paint company took Jens, whether it was the science or the colours or whatever. Yeah. And then when Workshop basically brought out the colour range, like just represented it, we went with a different. Actually, same week I can't really.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
I know it's just like, condition, isn't it? So they...
You can never leave. Sorry.
I just caught that just in time. That's all over the cameras. So some of the colours were very different. But I've used them loads and I'm very familiar with them. So yes, it's when you get a bit of a change, it's like, So I wasn't too keen on the shades when they changed, but actually they are better for what they do.
Yes.
Because they don't sit on the flat areas, they run into the cracks, which is the purpose of the shade. They have slightly tone the surface area.
Yeah, but they're pretty good.
Nowhere near as much.
As that. I'm a big fan of the new shades, big fan of all the tones of contrast. Just some of the base paints and some of the colours here and there have changed a little.
Yes.
And I guess I'll just have to adapt to change. Change is the constant, apparently.
Yeah, the future is now, old man.
When the viewers, unfortunately, or how easy would it have been to chop that off? Look at that.
Why is there a rivet separate?
Look, set.
Do you want to pass it out?
Maybe it's a good gluing bit. Maybe that's the
That's got. I think it's a bit of spare written all over it. Now,
Do you want to? I'll pass it. I want it in front of my guy.
yeah, look at that.
Do you feel like the rivet?
Then you explain it.
Part of that is to
How easy would it have been to put that together? How easy would it have been to chop that rivet off?
So which?
On the top. Can we see where there's where the wheels are go around the top?
Yep.
Can you see, if you turn it back to look at you
So I'm showing it to the camera.
there is a tiny, one of the rivets is literally,
I can point if you want.
on the centre point, where it would have been so easy to have just gone, oh, that's a little bit of,
Oh my god!
Yeah, so if you're not paying attention, you could snip.
you could have slipped out.
Nothing worse than a half rivet.
Oh, God, not worse. You know,
So just see it. Yeah. Oh wow! And then this tank, you looked at the box.
yeah, it did talk about fibbing on a box.
How did they fib on a box, Jeff?
They fibbed on a box because they showed transfers that's not on the sheet.
The contents really vary from those shown on the box.
It's fine.
Oh, that stopped the rage that was amongst that.
Yeah, just shut up, Jeff. Just get it.
Yeah, just who never reads all of a box before they buy a product?
To be honest, I remember back in retail, sometimes you'd have like scenery sets that just came in the scenery, but they show figures on it.
Oh yeah, and they have to say figures not included.
Yeah, but it was so small. It was like, I think it ended up being like there was probably some contention of legalities that they eventually stopped.
Don't they do this anymore, right?
Yeah, no, it's just the scenery. I think sometimes like with like certain kits they might show them, but it's like really sort of obvious that it's just a scenery set. But yeah, I remember that being a bit of an issue where parents would come and go, where are the figures? My son brought these. Like, no, they come, it just comes as scenery. Well, it shows them on it. Yes. It does.
Yeah,
right. Now, just hang on a second while I get you this microscope to show you where it says there's a lot of.
But yeah, I suppose it can be misleading. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, plastic glue. Ooh.
Yeah,
So got used to plastic.
I was at my
Not
dad's.
a plastic. You were super.
I used to be plastic glue all the time, and then that because I get carried away and don't always follow the instructions. That once it's glued on, it's welded. I'm like getting. Oh no.
The reason I don't like super glue is I don't use super glue is because I like the tips of my fingers. I like to oh well, nice stuff. Fingerprints.
So I guess from building, because we used to use resin kits a lot.
Yeah.
In the paintings, the plastics weren't available, and even when I'm building plastics, because I'm always like, you have to make sure it's a nice cut, it's like fits perfectly. Once you got all that super on your fingers, it acts as a shield for the wood. So when I'm like, we're changing the blade, as we always found, whenever you change the blade, obviously you've got to put a lot less pressure on this time because it's not cutting so bad. Just like,
I built my first Forge World resin kits last week. As I said,
it was just used for our viewers. There was just this night of just on our WhatsApp of just pure resin-based anxiety.
Yeah. I was building the.
I thought at one point we were going to have to come round. That's why I said it was about 20 past midnight, and I thought, I'm going to have to get dressed.
Because I glued like all my fingers together. I was carving away bits of resin. So I was building not the Telemon Dreadnought, like the Custodes ones. It was like the smaller, is it Glatus with the sword?
I have no idea. The
can't remember the name. One of them sounds like Achilles, but it's not.
Yeah.
And yeah, building some of them, and they have this. You put the head on, and they have like this big slab that goes on top.
Yeah.
And you look on the Forge World website, and you're like, oh, it fits perfectly. Both of the ones that I had were just that. Here's a massive gap.
Yeah.
And here I am, just being like, I didn't study for this test. Cutting loads of holes in my fingers, and in the end, I just gave up, punked it on, and filled it with super glue.
Yeah. The super glue is good. So you hide the little shoots.
Yeah.
Back in, and without going into old man territory here, but obviously with you being relatively new to the hobby path.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day when you had to super glue multi-part metal miniatures together, honestly, you go, Pete, you'll know, you get it and you go, and that's it, done. And then you just move your hand away and come away, and they're just beyond your thumb with a bit chunky, just a piece of metal. You go,
Yeah.
a bit for me. So many things that just weren't designed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The two ever go together. And my favourite of them all, and you probably have had to deal with one. Do you remember when all them external bolters were all metal on the Mandrel Crusader?
Yeah.
That nearly went against the wall.
Yeah, the Hurricane bolters system.
Yeah. They were two bolters with a feed and a drum magazine and a flat, oblong, so to say, drum magazine. So they went like that, feed round the back, and then the magazine that they went into, the ammo feed. Right time. They went into, all connected to a plastic kit, and the weight just wasn't having any.
And then you have like the sponsors of
Yeah.
They did another one. They did a massive, big, chunky multi-melter that went on the plastic strut that a plastic storm bolter should have gone on for the gunner, and it had a full metal shield round it as well. It just wasn't going on. That was it. Every one of them I ever seen was just pointing downward.
That sounds so irritating.
So there's an experience of being in retail. So that's bad enough as you're an hobby, but then when you get every customer every week coming in with like that kit,
For going, what's going on?
it is like, this is hell.
Yeah.
So I've done one for myself and that was enough, but now I've got to do it for this kid. Oh, crap, this.
Yeah.
And this dad.
And then
Robbo read them to point.
and then they'll pick it up and go, "This is great." Breathe on it, and it'll fall.
Yeah. One of my favourite things, it's not to do with metal, and I would like to recreate it. It goes to show sometimes that I think the instructions are much clearer now, but it's going to be one of those memories that goes to the grave, and I will always tickle about it. There was no sort of insult towards the young hobbyist that tried to build this kit. It made my life seeing this thing. So they got a grav tank. I know they did. I'd tell a lie. They got a wave serpent kit. The wave serpent kit had
I'm not familiar.
A wave serpent is an Eldari vehicle and an extra capacity at the back. At the time, it was very much the same. It is the same shape as a grav tank.
Yeah,
but you could buy the grav tank separately, which has all the rules and instructions how to build the grav tank. Well, you get the wave serpent, which has the same instructions as the grav tank, but also has the wave serpent instructions as well. So you can build it as both if you really want to. Why you pay for a wave serpent? And not do that. So as opposed to having its own separate instructions, the first part was how to build a grav tank, and then the next part was how to build a wave serpent. And most of the start of that is following the grav tank build, building like the bits. So this kid had obviously started building the grav tank and continued building the grav tank. I got to the end, I just went, I've got this troop, sort of like, it was like a plastic sort of...
Was it allowed greater capacity?
Yeah, basically it was like a thing that slotted in the back and there was like other bits added to it. But basically it had this massive chunk of plastic and I had no idea what to do with it. So what he did was he got this really sleek, like an Eldari vehicle, and then just glued it on the top. And then came in and I was like, my grav tank doesn't look right. Can you help? I was like, that does not look right. No. That is so not right. What I'm going to do is we get one off the shelf and I'm going to build it for you. And I helped him build it basically. And it's just like, I can see where you went wrong. You followed this part of the instructions, didn't you? It's like, yeah. So this is for the grav tank. What we need to do is rip them off, bin them. Let's build the wave serpent ones. So sometimes the instruction guides can be hugely misleading.
Yeah.
Now, if it was like, it was the box that said grav tank / wave serpent, and it was like, follow these steps to build this, which is what they do now.
Yeah.
And then stop. Do you want to build this one or this one? And then you slip to page wherever to continue building it as this variant. Let's go to this page to do this variant. Yeah, it's a lot clearer these days. But yeah, just seeing this like really sleek Eldari vehicle, this massive lump of like plastic. I think I'll build a grav tank and show what it looked like because it was amazing.
I remember.
And we kept it as a thing in the office, just like,
oh, when you gave the lads like a new one.
Yeah, that was always the case. I mean, I said you can keep it if you want to. He was like, no, I don't want that. I was like, trouble at that moment.
So is that a way of getting like free Warhammer? Just like fulfilled it terribly. Wondering, it's like, help me, and then they'll take bits of it.
Thoughts have popped through my brain already.
I mean, I would like to say that that's still a thing now, and I think it is, but certainly it was you're paying a lot of money for plastic kits.
Yeah.
And if you're young and you struggled, or even as a parent, I mean, we had like dads come in and just go, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know what to do. You sit down and just talk through how you go about building it.
The first most complicated miniature I ever built for that was the one where I really felt tested, was when right back in the day before 1999 maybe, when they brought what was the new Land Raider out.
Yeah.
That was, I remember that testing me, and it was like, we had to be like covered in elastic bands, trying to keep it all together.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
I do remember a dad coming in, and he was like, probably my age now, cocky like coming in with his I think 8 or 7-year-old. He was like, "What about I'm here for your bulldog?" I was like, "No, what?" He was like, "I'm here for your bulldog." I was like, "A bulldog?" There again. That Balrog is in Lord of the Rings. He was like, "Yeah, that bulldog Balrog doesn't matter, does it? Same thing." I was like, "Yeah. What? The bulldog with a big."
And that was there's a big metal.
It's all metal apart from the wings, which were plastic. The early ones were all metal wings as well.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh, is it for yourself?" And he was like, "No, it's for my kid." I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "It's 40 quid. It's all metal. You need to pin all the wings on. It needs green stuff in. You need to use super glue."
Oh, wow.
Until I got the Balrog for some reason.
It's quite a complicated kit.
It's a grim kit.
So I probably wouldn't recommend it. How old's your son? He was like 7. He's very bright for his age. I think he'll cope. I'm like, so he goes and grabs it. It's got his kid's birthday money. I have a kid. I understand. Kids are excited.
Yeah,
They want to shine it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be like, no, you can't have your birthday.
Yeah, so the dad gets the kit, he puts it on, he goes, right, but how much is that? I was like, it's 40. He was like, go on, son, give me your money. I was like, so he gets a £5. He goes, 5. I was like, cool, I'll take that. Then he gets a £10 and he goes, 4. I'm like, oh God, this is going to, if he's struggling to count this, oh no, he's going to really struggle to build this. And you can see the dad's face, like going, oh my kid can't count, and now I feel,
No, but he's very bright for his age.
well, he's very bright for his age, but it's fine. I mean, we all say that about kids. Well, anyway, we sold it.
It's a moron.
So he basically paid for it and went away, and no word of a lie, the very next day the dad comes back on his own. He goes, can I get refund on this? And it was like half bill, and I was like, I did tell you. Yeah, I warned you, and you ignored me.
Yeah,
but because we believe in good customer service, I will refund you.
yeah.
And he was like, then thanks, mate. And we just refunded. I was like, if it's for yourself, then cool. We can teach you and stuff like that, but he's too young to be in the store to all the outs and stuff like that. So if you want to learn some skills, we do hobby camps, we can talk out your opinion and stuff, but this plastic kits which are like come as they are, that's perfect. But you don't want this for like
I hated pin.
Well, it's like I haven't pinned anything
You shouldn't have to.
I'm building loads of my custodies, and I want to have cool bases, so I've stuck them all on cork, and I should pin them probably, because cork's not you could rip it off quite easily.
I think if you super glue to cork,
Yes.
they're generally all right.
There's going to be, I do this. I've super glued to cork and I've knocked it, it's come off a little bit, but it's back on the side. We're like, oh, and they're right.
But yeah, building the forgeable stuff is interesting. Because plastic glue, used to it, and it's kind of because everything's so light, usually it sticks on, and the working time is quite, it sticks on straight away, but you can wiggle it around and get it, and it's generally fine. And then with this thing, sticking on its arm is in 5 parts.
Yeah.
Because you've got all of this mobility, and this is wonderful, and you can do this. And now I'm just desperately trying to hold everything together to try and get a decent pose. And then I have to start pulling my hands away, and I'm like, no, everything's stuck to me.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, I was like, oh. And then I finished it, and I was like, I hated that.
I've gone up.
Give me another one.
Just from a point of view, I love sort of Forge's great because it has it can do all the peripheries, right? Yeah. But obviously it's going to be resin because it's cost effective. Totally get that.
Yeah.
But it's the glue side of it. I use super glue a lot and maybe a bit of pinning, but there's always that kind of it's better to use arrow dye because it holds longer. But arrow dye, you've got once you've mixed the 2 bits together, you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you have to do a bit at a time, so you're like, oh, I'm going to build the body thing. And
right, yeah.
It just sets really quick. It sets, and it doesn't properly cure for 24 hours. So it sets within 5 minutes once you mix the 2 together because of the chemical reaction, and then it gets quite hard. Because I've done it where I'm trying to glue things. It's oh my God, I can't even get it off now. I have to get some more.
Yeah.
But for it to pop and cure, it's 24 hours. But without trying to bitch about Finecast, I'd always felt a lot for the customers that they had to learn how to sculpt.
Yeah.
Because those little feed lines coming down there, little V's here or whatever.
Thankfully, I was out I was out the hobby when Finecast started and died, so I've not been.
They're still around. They're still kids.
So yeah, no, like I think I've got a few Finecast kits, unfortunately, because there was they re-released him in plastic now, and I bought him, but he's like the Zinch guy, Sigma, and he's got like
the curseling,
and the arm talks and has its own mouthing server. And I was like, I remember looking pre my Tablet Games Workshop when I was interviewing, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool miniature. I'd really like that. And I think it looked awesome. And then when I left, I was like, oh, my discount's going to run out. I'll buy it. And then it turned up and it was Finecast, and I was like, wish they did that.
Yeah, the new plastic ones would.
And then they released the new plastic one.
Yeah, and they used to call it failed cans.
Yes.
Yeah, it's everything but fine.
But no, but there's another problem as well, wasn't it? Like some was of like people building them and then putting them on their windowsill. Yeah, I was displaying my miniatures on the windowsill.
Well, I mean, Resin,
and then the sub I put in the miniatures like.
Oh, and it would keel over.
I mean, there's back before the museum had changed, and even then some of the lights in there are super hot still. But they've been like the red, because we used to always have stuff like every metal on us would always have it in resin before it became plastic. Mm-hmm. But like the dragon, its wings would just melt in the museum. And then so you have to get the hairdryer to it again, reshape the
reshape them, yeah.
It was just, that's pop. And that's why, resin is cool and cheap as it is.
Yeah.
The downside, I mean, I had my favourite undead character, which is a guy called Krell, who's like an undead chaos warrior. And he hangs around this guy called Heinrich Himmler, who's like a necromancer. And I loved his model in Resin 1, even though it was Finecast, I still liked it, and his axe just kept bending and breaking to the point where I just got so sick and tired of it. I was just like, just don't probably use Krell anymore. As much as the rest of it looks cool, it's just his axe is just, and it's a very special axe. I can't remember what it's called now, like the Black Axe or something, like the Black Axe of Krell, I think.
You can't even like really just go also swap it out from
he was pinned it, abrasive, and it just looked like he was. It was like Timmy Mallet with like a. It's just like it was always just flopping around. We all have that problem.
From time to time, just at all.
Constantly.
It's just a bit where you go, believe it or not, viewers, we actually have a subject.
Yeah. We will. So you were saying in the art painting team you had resin.
Yeah.
Why didn't you have plastics? What's going on there?
So, plastics takes a long time to make. Yeah. Obviously, not only have you got to like do all your CAD and your 3D designing. Yeah. Then because I used to be sometimes getting some of these meters where, like, let's say it was dwarfs, like the new dwarf plastics were being done. Yeah. When I say the new dwarf plastics, at that time, that's like 10 years back. Yeah. So like the iron breakers and stuff like that, there'll be like meetings. You'll have like an heavy metal painter in there, an oil painter in there, the sculptor in there, an artist in there, the rules writer in there, and then the guy from tooling who would come along with like a printout of the sprue and go, look, we've tried fitting all these heads on, we can't quite get this on. So they're still like working on the tool as we're painting the armies.
So, all right, okay. So a miniature has been designed. Yeah. Because I know from my time there, I remember the first time going into the photography studio, Pat was like, look, they're the squats. That's the biggest secret in Games Workshop right now. Yeah. And I was like, oh, right. Because I didn't know what they were. I was like, they're a bit smaller than stick music.
If you'd have been there a while about them, you were
yeah, I know. Then I degrade the image quality on my phone.
Yeah, the potato
to make it look like it was shot on a potato. Yeah. So yeah, but then they didn't come out until probably over a year, like almost a year and a half.
Sometimes higher. Yeah, a year and a half
since the photos had been taken, and then obviously been painted up by heavy metal, which takes a whole chunk of time as well. Yeah. So. Yeah, tell me about that process. I want to know all about it.
So you obviously get a designer that designs it.
Yep.
So it's all on a computer.
Darren Latham sits on his golden throne and goes, I'd agree that...
Now, this next bit is still magic to me. Yeah. And it's still a bit alluded to. All I remember is there was stuff on a screen, and then a guy down in miniatures who did a lot of the master moulding, Mo Jones, who used to be in the Orbit team, who did a lot of the master moulding, would have this red sort of like glass sort of printout of like the parts, and he'd be putting those in these master molds. So you'd have like these silicon, well, it wouldn't even be silicon molds, but you'd get like let's say you got like resin chunks, it'd be like gluing like little bits of resin chunks, and he'll glue this thing on at an angle, and then you get another bit and glue this on, and he'd lay them down, and then he'll have like a box, and he'd like pour this silicon mold stuff in it, which then makes the mold. He then cuts the mold, opens it up, takes these glass bits out, which then becomes the molds to get resins made. So it's all very still a process that I don't know 100%, but this red glass thing was a 3D printed thing. It literally would just like build it all up. So they'd have like all the information, I guess, from CAD, like the computer-aided design stuff. And then somewhere along the line, there was a guy that would just like have a machine, and they'd just I guess they call grow it. I used to remember them. Like, we've got to wait for the miniature to be grown. So just sit there and like basically, I guess, 3D print this thing. Then loose heads. So the whole sprue is like grown. So like the heads are loose. And so the sculptor has an idea of how he wants to break it down. Obviously they've had conversations with like tooling. And they've like looked at like how it fits on the sprue. But then there was a time when it was physical. So you'd have like this single miniature sprue, medium sprue, tank sprue, all these different sizes of sprue. And you because they fit certain boxes. So there's a very structured sort of like, this is a clamp pack sprue, this is a small sprue, this is a medium sprue, this is a tank sprue. So you know what boxes they'll go in, you know what how many of those sprues you can fit in. So if you have like that's this one for instance, it probably like fits 3 sprues in that box set, so they know how much room they've got to play with. And then sometimes you have to make bespoke boxes for certain kits.
But so I remember somebody's like telling me that what obviously the design of Games Workshop is fantastic. I think the miniatures are great, but he said the real magic is how they get all of that into the sprue, and that's
even now it's still magic. I mean, all I can say is like, a guy would create it, someone would magically physically make out of thin air with this red stuff. Jones would go off and like make molds, so like the heavy metal painters have got something to paint, we have to paint because the mold is still being made. The steel mold for like making plastics is still being designed,
and that's what takes,
because that is such a long process. And even then, like Harlequin is a great example. We'd get like loads of resins of Harlequins, and the molds that James would make as well would only last 6 or 8 pours. Like resin going on before we have to make a new master mold. And if we're doing an army of them and every metal have already done like a bunch, you're going to get 2 or 3 good casts, and then the rest are going to be pretty in the back, pretty dark. So like, but you can work around it and stuff. I remember with the Harlequins as a great example was we painted up 4 different collections for these how to paint army books, as well as like the codex. So we did like 4 different masks, they're called. There's the main box art one, which we added to, made our own like extra bits, and used their metal characters for some of the shots. And then there were like 3 other ones that we made up, and then the odd colour variant as well. So we'd already work out beforehand, before Jones would cast these things, how many models we'll need. He has an idea of how many casts. So what I do, if he's casting and he's like doing all these casts, and that's wasted time for him. If he does like 50 pours and we only use 20, what waste of his day. So you'd work out roughly how much you need, and then we'll be there building them all up, and oh my god, you just get a bag of resin. They're instructions. So luckily, if you timed it right, you'd have like one of the packaging guys that work on the instruction goes, have you got a PDF done yet? But like, not quite, we're working on it still. Like,
so would they be, so I guess, because I remember on the Death Guard sprue, is there one that goes like from his left foot, and it's just like a bit of a leg, a thin bit of his back, and then it's got his head on. Like, you wouldn't have those parts in resin, would you?
Yes, you would sometimes. Really? Because that was designed as a push fit figure. So you'd get the resins as push fit as well. So I had the resins for the very first box set, which had Death Guard versus Marine. And I kept the bell off the guy, which I alluded to in a previous podcast. Just because I was doing it for myself, and I was like speed painters and stuff. But you wear as close as you can. They would usually mimic the sprue. But even then, like Jamesy would like go, these 2 bits are separate, but I've glued them together and cast them as one, because it's just easier for you. Otherwise, it's just because it was really hard for him to actually make the mold of that, because he's not trying to replicate the plastic sprue as such. He's trying to make it easier so the painters have got something to build with. So it feels like a teeny tiny, like, I don't know, iron sight that went on a gun. That's really hard to pour and make it on a little mold. So you're just like, well, glue this thing onto that. And then that's a solid thing. Then we can make a whole mold of that then. So there'll be the odd time where that would happen. But the Harlequins, so we'd done the army, and it was like probably a week or 2 after we it's either a week or two after, or like a week or two into the project. So there was lots of plates being spun at the same time, like all the projects going off. And I remember that one of the guys coming on going, there's a load of masks, because the Harlequins would have like the back of the head, it would be flat, you have like a plume or a bit of a mohawk, and then put the face plate on, so you have like a variety of different face plates, so you can have like a bit of a mishmash. And there was about 12, I think, or 15 on the sprue, and this guy came and was like, we'll have to remove 3 of them because they won't fill the sprue. And we're like, because obviously it wasn't a sprue at this point, we just had back to resin. And we're like, oh, okay. So it would go through, and as chance would have it, about 50% of our models had the wrong heads on.
So that was one of these ones that wouldn't make.
Yeah, so sometimes you can get away with getting content to make out of the boxes. We had a joke about at the start, but for the most part, if like 50% of your army is got heads that don't exist or will never exist, you need to snip them off.
Oh, that's a bad time.
Ruminate.
I think the worst kit I ever had, and luckily you were next to the sculpture at the time, so this is even before the instructions were out, they'd have like a bit of a sprue print out on their screen, they'd get it out through the printer. And they'd sit with you and go, oh, this bit goes there, this bit goes there. So sometimes there's a bit of like talk to the actual sculptor. But there is something called the Hellflay, which is a /demon lawnmower. You get different builds. You can have like a chariot, you can have like a slightly bigger build, or like the huge, you can have like 2 kits worth. And it's just loads of blades. And then like a sort of a chassis for like a chariot with more blades and like some steeds. And all I got was a bag of these throne stars, for a better word, tiny little throne stars.
I'm just going to say that sounds like a pain in the ass.
But they all fit in a set way. No, you said you were there like, I mean, like, what I used to do was like clean everything up, lay it all out, and then a lot of it was test fitted. The best kit that I've ever built, I mean, that took ages, and luckily Seb was helping me out, like, this is, it goes there. If you notice, these blades go that way, they've got this thing on this side, so they're on the left side, these ones are the opposite, they're on the right side, and they get like a bit bigger and a bit smaller and a bit bigger and a bit smaller, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we'd lay them all out, we'd have like a print out all the bits that I'd place on this print out, and I've had a bit of an idea of how it works, so that was great. But the best one I ever did was Ray Dranfield, who I think now he's down in Forge World Specialist Games Guide, and he did the Purple Son of Xeris. There was like some actual physical magic that they made. It was called Line Portents, and for Age of Sigmar they made like actual physical magical spells which would do a thing in the game. And there's one called the Purple Son of Xeris, and what he did was I didn't have the instructions for this, but I had the plastic, but for some reason I couldn't find the instructions, and it was so well designed that you literally make this frame, and it goes A on one bit and B on the other, and another piece will be B, and so B goes to B, okay. And then there'll be a panel that looks like a broken eggshell. And it'll be like A. I'm like, A. You're like, oh, so A goes there. And literally all you're doing is just following the letters. Connecting all the letters together. And it was like, the easiest thing in the world.
I had that on the Forge World kit. So you take some like plastic custodies, but you put resin arms and the big gun on them. And that had like AB, AB. And that was dead.
The worst bit is when they put them on with resin, you get like a chunky like thing. And it'll like go A1, A2 and C1, C2. If you clip them off, there's no number. Whereas a lot of them nowadays do actually do it on the inside. Where the flat bit of the oil is or whatever, so you can see it. But once you take them off, it's like, is that C1 or C3?
So am I learning that all of the miniatures that Heavy Metal paint and quite a lot that the Army painters paint are all just made, not designed, but like made by one guy?
Well, actually, no, it's probably more. So Mark James would do most of the miniatures, basically. He would have done miniatures. And because of the capacity at the time, the Army painters, we needed so much stuff doing. We end up getting the mould room. It's a great name for a room, the mould room. Who wants to go into the mould room? That sounds manky as heck. But the guys in the mould room would do a lot of stuff for like Forge World and like a lot of the metal casts stuff at the time. There was a guy there called Peter, and he would work alongside us, and he'd come up and do like extra casts for us and stuff. So Mark might do like 1 or 2. I've got a couple of casts for you, and if he had spare time and he had spare resin, he'd pour a few extra in. We just done like a form. I made like a sort of Google spreadsheet, which was like how many we need and how many I've already got and how many's left and outstanding. So Mark and Peter could see how much more we still needed or whatever. And sometimes we got some spares. Do you need any spares? He's like, you know what? can't go wrong in case like a sword breaks or an old break or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we get told that all the heads are wrong, we have to rip them off and replace them. So
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a guy down the mould room who would do a lot of that as well, Peter. I don't know why we started calling him Strider. I don't know why. It's just cool to the room and all the other people go, Strider!
Yeah. I've had that song. Yeah. I heard that so good. Strider!
And I don't know why to this day I recorded Strider, but it used to make him happy.
Yeah.
I've called him, we used to chat to him loads, but he was a great guy. I mean, he was
Is that a big long green felt coat?
No, he had no hair. He looked like me. Everything was the opposite. He wasn't tall. He wasn't like 87.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, I don't know, he might have been married to an elf. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, he was a great guy like Peter. I think he's still there now. But yeah, Mark Jones knows pretty much. And it's a job he enjoys doing. I think he likes the problem solving of how he makes the
Yeah.
and his casts and stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. No, it's fascinating.
But yeah, 3D printed. Really.
Yeah, because I've seen like I think it was on when the Chaos like Warhammer 40k Chaos Chosen were released, and there was a guy with a big axe, or it was like the upgrades.
Yes.
To Kill Team. It was like the Kill Team, yeah. And one of them was like, hey, you can take, here's the base build, but you can give him this big axe thing. And people were like zooming in, putting the red circle on, and being like, "I can see 3D print lines."
Yeah.
And it's
But I feel like you caught it.
well, that's it, because it's always marketed as "we've got you."
Yeah.
And Games Workshop never say we 3D print stuff because.
But they never say we don't.
But they never say we don't. Yeah, because if they did say, I get the impression if they did say like we 3D printed this part, then everyone would jump on it and be like, Games Workshop's over. So you could just 3D print stuff and it's just as good quality. And like the prints we got through recently from reprintmint.com, like even just getting them out of the bag and these massive shoulder pauldrons completely smooth. At all.
No.
Yeah.
I was so impressed.
There are. I mean, we've got like a bunch of D&D things from John with him.
Yeah.
We could do the Deadpool, which would be.
Oh, now everyone's kicking off about D&D now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Well, what's going for D&D?
Oh.
Is it bad? Can we not do D&D?
D&D's cancelled.
It's been hassle.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Why?
Says some horrible things about a woman in the work, at work, and it's cancelled.
Yeah, no.
Not the people, just the game.
No, people still love D&D. They don't like Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro because they are like there's a crikey, was it there's a meme of someone that's about to be hanged and someone looks at him and goes like, first time.
Oh, so yes, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about D&D and words. Yeah, right.
So and there's lots of crossovers. So essentially, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro are clamping down on their IP a bit,
Right.
and because they had
Oh, they haven't got people for being creatives and like making fan art.
kind of
Well, could I chip in on it a second? It used to be, it was like,
open gaming license.
yeah, basically, like Ninja on Again's a great example. You go, there's this guy, he's a budgie that's a pirate, and you go, and so miniatures has made them, and you go, and he comes with all of his stats for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, they give you 5th edition rules.
They go for him, and now that's like,
Oh,
So it's kind of like you can still do it, but if you make over $750,000, I think, from your endeavor, you have to give them 25% royalties. So it's kind of like if you're an individual, I don't think it will affect you.
yeah.
Because perhaps, I mean, maybe you will. Maybe like all these designers on Patreon that are earning megabucks every month, which like fair play to them. So they've had a meeting and gone, D&D is insanely popular. Why aren't we making as much money out of it as we could be?
Yeah.
It's because we've said all of these third-party companies can kind of do whatever they want. We're going to change that now.
But
So yeah, we have
Dungeons and Dragons is a set of rules that's been around for a long time, right?
very long time.
They didn't make up elves and dwarves and goblins and dwarves, did they?
No.
So, is it because people are putting Dungeons and Dragons rules with the thing, or is it because they're making a goblin or a kobold?
No. So I think it's kind of like like Crystal Role is an example. Like they do actual like the live play, like kind of like podcasts.
So that if they're making money from that,
and they make a heck of a lot of money, and they have an animated show on Amazon. Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah. God forbid that they're, like really promoting D&D.
Yeah. Oh, because they have official D&D books.
They're making D&D look cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't have that.
I can't have that. I think Critical Role, arguably, I'm more into D&D than I am Warhammer.
Yeah.
Like through lockdown, we did a campaign with my mates and on like Zoom and stuff. And it was amazing. And got into listening to Critical Role a bit. Started getting in because it's me and I'm stupid. Like the kind of there's one called Dungeons and Daddies.
Nice.
Which is and the tagline is not a BDSM podcast.
That's quite funny because that's where my brain immediately.
Yeah. And that is a chap of like ex YouTube fame called Freddie One. And he did loads of gaming like videos and that kind of thing. And they're so fun. So fun. And that's why I think I really like Necromunda from what we've been doing it because it's kind of like narrative based and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so I was like, yes, we finally got these miniatures through because we want to do like a how to paint an adventuring pumpkin. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, no, everyone hates D&D now.
They just say, what did the character?
Yeah, it's his thing, isn't it? Always gets me this thing of like, many moons ago, there was this whole thing, wasn't it? And you'll remember it. Forge World used to release Imperial armor books, and they go, here's a turret that you can put on an Imperial Guard Chimera that's double this, or whatever, like it's twin-linked auto cannon or whatever, I'm just, riffing here on it. And they would describe it, and they'd tell you how many points it was, and they'd tell you what it did, but they never made it. They just told you you could have one. And then what happened was another company we'll make them. And then Games Workshop, you're stealing our stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but the bit of the end of it was, you think ultimately, you've still got to go and buy a bloody Chimera to put the bloody turret on.
To put the thing on.
All right, yeah, you could maybe take it off one you already own, but that's generally not likely what happens. People go and buy another kit. So they would get upset that another company was making a thing they'd written about but never made a model of.
Yeah.
And then knew that there was a strong likelihood that 65-70% of people who bought that turret would probably wander off the Games Workshop and buy another tank to put it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's because that's Dungeons and Dragons a bit. It's this thing of like, let's just shoot myself in the foot and buy myself a new shoe.
Because was it that lawsuit in the US that prompted all the change to like this is a
just
that was all that. No, I mean that was going back years now.
But that's what that whole kit thing was from. Was like the American, as far as I understand it, and somebody can put me right if I'm wrong, but I am talking from mild folklore knowledge of it. Was hit like the judge went, we're ruling in favour of Games Workshop that you can't do this, but at the same point in time, Games Workshop, if you're going to write about a model, you got to make the model.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember like things like I think it was Chapter House had like different aspect warriors, and they just looked very similar, but they weren't identical.
Yeah.
And I remember like a bunch of the I'm not going to go to all the details, but I remember like a bunch of the designers and stuff would have to go to court and explain whilst theirs is unique.
Oh, yeah, because you have to have like so many different...
Yeah. And I remember there was a time where we weren't allowed to have any other like books. So I had like Osprey books, and like loads of people had like just random, like I got a Star Wars comic or like a Star Wars book and stuff like that.
Like on your desk?
On my desk, and it was like that we had to remove everything because that could influence, because it would say, well, yours is influenced from Star Wars. The stuff you were designing, even though it wasn't, it was just a book I read at lunchtime.
Well, we all know Warhammer 40,000 isn't influenced by Dune at all.
Just Starship Troopers. No, because the Starship Troopers
I always sort of referred to that Sister Warlock in 2000 AD, none of that in there.
No.
I think Gothic, medieval.
No, Warhammer Old World was inspired by, the medieval world.
Yeah.
Lots of like tropes.
Games Workshop back in the day, it was the UK distributor for Dungeons.
Yeah, so I mean, when I'm looking back at my old publications, I've got an old sort of Warhammer fantasy roleplay army book game. Warhammer, it was Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but it was very role players.
Yeah,
you can even like take tests for being drunk. I mean, that's how I love it. But you just like, did they have a heavy night the night before? Let's find out.
Yes,
they did.
Yeah.
See, I think some Games Workshop as well. They would do the same sorts of thing to some degree. Was the fact they used to make a rule book for playing a game set in the Wild West.
Yeah.
They did like Soul Cowboys.
They did Trafalgar. They did Old West. They did Great War, because Dave and Ali did Great War miniatures, and they used a load of their miniatures in the books. They had a whole section which was Warhammer historical. They had a whole department which I thought, what historical? I had no idea. But yeah, early days of Warhammer, like when the Perrys were like 16, 17, when they were working for Workshop, they were war gamers. So they had like Agincourt French and Agincourt British.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we'll use those as Bretonians. And then for a lot of it, like early days, it was like using stuff they already had painted, and then started doing like some school like when we had Bob on, they'd school like orcs and stuff. So a lot of it was early days photography, and early days playing was just using historical stuff and then giving it a head swap. And counts out. So like the Empire, that's why the Empire very sort of Lanchneck sort of turn of the century. It was more 1700s, 1500s, 1600s kind of style uniforms, whereas like the Bretonians are very much the knights of old. Agincourt style.
I feel like we're sort of like at a point with these kind of like D&D, like Warhammer, that the companies, yes, they're heavily inspired by each other and other source material, but it's gotten to a point now with copyright law and all that sort of stuff that they're sort of like, nope, this is us, and defense mode. Which like I can understand from a certain degree, because if they don't protect their IP, then it kind of goes public domain sort of thing.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, people
style take the best.
I mean, we've seen that where, and I remember where people would actually start copying Workshop stuff, as in like they were making molds of Workshop stuff.
Oh right.
In their own homes, and then filling them with plaster. And selling them on eBay and stuff like that. It's like
a plaster of Paris dreadnought.
I mean, I remember having a mum come and go, I bought these off eBay, they just don't feel right, can you help me out? I was like, these are all plaster casts that you bought for a dodgy site, don't go to that site again. Literally it was like some ring race. It was a ring race set. It was just like they're all just like, they'd obviously got like a 2-part moulding brace, so they're just held it plaster, absolute scullers. But where there's like a fun hobby, there's always going to be someone that takes advantage.
And trying to make some money. Yeah.
I mean, like guns everywhere, always floats to the top as well. That's when someone telling me that scum always floats to the top, mate. You don't wish you can do about it. Go to a different moment. All right.
Because people talk about recasting, or like I watched a video about somebody 3D printing. They got images when the new Cadia Stans box announced. I can't remember the name of the chap, but he did a video about can he print Cadia Stans from the images and paint it before the box is released.
That's better.
And he did some interviews with, like, he didn't design the miniatures himself, but he found people that did and put them online. And with these designers, he was like, so why did you decide to do this? And one of them was just like, I like money. Because people are going to go, like Games Workshop stuff, want it for cheaper, let's do this. And
somebody will remain nameless, so we'll name one here, but I know somebody who bought what's the thing the AdMech fly around, the Ornicop?
The Ornithopter.
Oh yeah. Bought one of them from a gentleman in China. And when it turned up with 2 left wings.
Nice.
Right.
So just keep getting the same thing.
It first flies, bro. It turns up with 2 left wings. And it's the greatest bit of marketing ever was it turned up with 2 left wings. And he got in touch with the Chinese chap, and he said, my plane was turned up and it's got 2 left wings. He says, can you send me another one? Which the Chinese chap said, yeah, I'll stick it in with your next order. I can't even put an order. We're basically holding your right wings to ransom.
That's obvious.
But what I'll say, and we talked about this previously, and it doesn't make it right, but the Chinese chap is casting things that Games Workshop don't make anymore. Not God design, he cast lots of things that Games Workshop still make. But then lots of things that Games Workshop have got rid of.
How did you go? Like this signature. I mean, the website in question you have showed me before.
Yes, I have.
And Jeff showed me naughty websites. And it's my favourite pastime.
Well, why not? It was another hobby, right?
Yeah.
No matter what people say on some of their websites, there is some very, very sexy looking sheep.
Don't know what's going on right now. I feel a little uncomfortable.
Just tapping into I'll stop there.
You guys look at
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you can get recasts for like half the price.
Yeah, so having Bob on the show, he was talking about 3D printing and stuff, and
Yeah.
I definitely think it's going to be something that everyone has to look at. And
Yeah.
it's the future, and
Yeah.
we've seen like with John and We Print Miniatures, the quality, because they don't sell STL files, they sell the actual printout. Obviously,
Yeah.
they want to control the quality.
Yeah.
So they're not going, hey, here's the digital file, and then you print out. It's like, it doesn't look like that because you've got a NAF printer.
Yes.
We'll get good printers,
Yeah.
and we'll send you the actual finished
And
prints.
at the time,
It's a great go-between idea.
I don't think it's
If you've got your own 3D printer, great, good on you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't,
I mean, I've got a guy who sent
that's
me,
what John will look after.
because I'm looking at making a 6-scale Ventralian Noble, and I need, at the moment, I've got a Tuscan Raider cycler rifle at the moment as his lasgun. But there's a guy I know who has made some digital files of lasguns and las pistols, and he was like, "I've sent you he sent me the Dropbox with the STL files.
Yeah.
I just need to find a printer."
that's all I can say. Do you know someone who might be able to do that for you?
Yeah, cool. But yeah, so I mean, I want to make a
There's a
decision.
guy in China.
So there was a company called Green Wolf. I don't know if they're still called Green Wolf or they changed the name, but they, I've never seen it. I've been after it for ages. I never saw it on sale, but they did the 6-scale Cadian.
Oh,
Spacey Action Man Cadian.
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah.
And I've never seen it. I've never seen that. It'd like go on sale anywhere. I've been looking at Green Wolf. It's still like not available.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's like they've got lasguns and las pistols, and they have holsters, and they have extra mags and stuff like that, which is why I love like taking the mag out and putting a new mag.
Do they do like Joy Toy or?
No, they all didn't.
No, these were like in cloth. They were like proper like.
Oh right.
So Action Man stuff.
Yeah.
You see my action figures. I've got like the large scale ones. It's basically that. And Green Wolf have done that. They've done like a lot of modern warfare style kits, and like they do like sets of like, I don't know, Honey Badger machine guns and like Vector Chris's and stuff like that. All the different types of machine guns you can get. They've all like got loads of mags and loads of iron sights that didn't attach.
Classic piece of internet history. Apologies for interrupting. Have you ever seen the somebody's taken documentary footage of a honey badger, and there's like a very camp gentleman talking over the top of it, because honey badgers are just like vicious.
Little things.
And this guy's just like, honey badger doesn't care. Honey badger don't give a shit.
Brother.
It's brilliant. I'll show it to you after.
Yeah, he's did. Yeah, they're actually budget.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I've wanted to get that 3D print. So I want to be out. I want there to be a shop that I go down to go, I've got these files. Could you print those out for us? Yeah, and I like always say, you know, like the old, you know.
Yes.
There's a 3D printer place in Nottingham City Centre.
Is there?
Yeah. I think John Wright. I think it is. I think they do 3D.
Oh, Johnny Rose. Because they used to do lots of art equipment and stuff.
Yeah, I think they still do. I think so. Yeah.
Because I think like I like the idea of having a 3D printer. We don't have here. Absolutely don't have the space.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And from watching that chap's video about printing the Cadian army, that was again about how he packaged his video, because he got a ton of views. He did really, really well, and deservedly so, because I watched a half an hour video about calibrating 3D printers to certain kinds of resin.
Yeah.
It's a hobby in its own right. 3D.
Yeah. And for the majority of the time, he was printing these little cones out and making sure that they all touched each other and the other, and it was just like the cones of calibration. And it was just like, I don't have the time for that.
Yeah, no. Well, I saw on Etsy, there's a guy who does like 3D printing. There was like Star Wars stuff. He was like a piece of Star Wars trade, and he does like Star Wars vehicles. And you got like Luke Speeder, you got like TIE Fighter, you got like the TIE Fighter interior.
Oh,
right. And I was like, that looks cool. You got the Millennium Falcon interior, and it's like, do you want it as 1:18 scale, which what I think is the Joy Toy stuff?
Yeah.
Would you like it 1:12 scale, which is like kind of backside? Would you like it 1:6? Or would you like it 1:1 as a picture of an actual Luke's land speed until it was guarded?
I was 3D printing. I was just going to try and make a joke about open your wallet and do it 1:1. And someone still can't do it.
Someone's got a land speeder in the garden.
Just be like, right, that was the Millennium Falcon 1:1.
I bet you could.
Yeah.
I bet you could.
Yeah. Which is a 3D printer. It'll be ready in 10 years.
Like, and it's like the panels look grey, and it's I mean, it's like that grey sort of stuff that you get when you get the 3D like grey colour tint,
So like resin or whatever.
But yeah, I mean, it is the future, and you know, it'll be interesting to see if Workshop goes with down that route of
Well, they're going to
upgrade sets and stuff that are 3D.
I don't know how they're going to go. They're going to have to at some point in time give in on it.
Yes.
They might not give in for 10 years. They might give in 5 years. I don't know. But I think what Bob was talking about when we interviewed him, and Bob was saying Games Workshop needs to basically have like a bank of 3D printers, and you go and you buy the thing.
Shops,
and then you come back later that day if you're lucky, or the next day and you pick it up.
It makes sense because you don't own the STL. Workshop owns the STL. You're just getting a physical printout of like an upgrade.
You should basically go in and go, I'd like a box of Dark Angels, and they go, well, there won't be a box available till tomorrow afternoon. And you go, okay.
Yeah.
And set them back in the box. It's exactly the same thing as this.
This is why all those is back in the warehouse. So probably like before I was manager with it, when I was still an army painter, they had a massive sort of overhaul of the not museum, what do you call it? Just big storage thing, factory where you store warehouse. Warehouse.
I just had a complete blank then as well. I was just like these same words, but I'm not going to help.
My wife couldn't have as a name for a lunchbox, just called it a sandwich suitcase. So I was like, sandwich suitcase. I was like, right, got you, I know what you mean. Yeah, so what they
I have a terrible habit of calling airplane stations.
Well, yeah, they had an issue with like a storage because there's so many like metal components. Yeah, every single there's just so much, so they had to have an overhaul, which is why things became made to order. So they still had the molds, but they just didn't have them in stock anymore. So you'd go to the store and go, "Can I get this head? Can I get that on?"
Oh, they were one of the happiest days of my life.
It got so reduced to the point that it's just non-existence. Where having all that stuff digital. And then being able to just go to a shop and go, can I get that printed out?
Yes.
Sure. Come back in an hour.
Can I have a Cadian up it?
Or come back tomorrow.
Well, like I say, it's not, there was then not a warehouse just full of it, is the?
Yeah.
Because you go, there's probably only 15,000 people at any point in time want that particular upgrade sprue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I'm not suggesting you do it for every single bloody thing, no, but
They could, they could.
But as you said that time,
I don't...
Sorry, Darren Latham, as you said that time, did the G Steel Occult upgrade sprue to turn your guard into GSC. He did that in a day, didn't he?
It was a day or two. It was a real quick turnaround. And it was like, I remember talking to him and saying, it would be really cool to have like other upgrades where it's like Morgan heads and Talon heads and this, that, and but it's like, we're normal buy them. Well, some people buy them, so there's no point tooling it. But actually, this is like 3D printing is the perfect place for that.
Yeah.
Well, if it takes you like a day to sculpt 10 Morgan heads and then photo around in the cloud and then those that want them can print them out. And it might be 20 people. But all it's done is it's taken someone... As long as they cover it out with a design cost.
Yes. It's 20 people who then really love Games Workshop for doing that.
But also 20 people that aren't just going to buy 10, because if they do it,
also not,
they're going to buy like 50.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely right.
I don't know if we talked about this before. So Daz designed an upgrade sprue in Z.
Yeah, I'll tell you if it was a day. It was a day or two. It was a quick turnaround. So the Gene Silicate upgrade set, which was then became a compact on its own.
Yeah.
It was put into things like a Sentinel, a Chimera, a Lehman Russ, and the Cadian box at the time. To turn all those into Gene Silicators because you had the Brood Infantry, which was like big on this.
Yeah.
So I remember we as Darwin painters, we painted the box packaging stuff for that. Yeah, helped out. Yeah, so because we did the Death Watch, the Blood Angels, and the Jesus and Cult stuff. Because it was just like I don't know if he just did it because he could, or it was just like I'm middle of trade. I can't remember the reasons for him.
Yeah.
But it didn't take. I remember him saying it didn't take him very long to do, and it was either a couple of days or a day. It was very quick. Fair. Because all you've got is like 10, 12 heads on there, and a couple of like little pouches.
Yeah,
pouches.
Yeah,
dagger.
And if you've got like a G-Cynical head already in place, what you do? You add in like some goggles on.
Yeah,
add in some mask. You make the cream a bit bigger on one.
Yeah,
smaller.
Yeah,
like some bandanas around the faces.
Less masks.
That's fair enough.
But you know what I mean. But like saying, especially if you think that if you play Gene Steel, well, it depends how I play Gene Steel. There's lots of ways to play, but it's generally unavoidably quite a heavy infantry based sort of army.
Yeah,
and you can play quite a lot of Imperial Guards in it.
Yeah. That's just saying Daz is an amazing person, isn't he, really? Because he can paint really well quite fast.
Yeah,
and he can sculpt quite well.
He's been, I feel like he's been building his...
You see him dancing and he's cooking. Well, we were talking about
I've not seen this.
the other day, he was the side of the road outside the old age pension home, just one old age pension across the road after the road. He's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And so it's just like a firefighter with a spare time.
Oh, yeah.
Gets blind dolphins out of burning buildings. Yeah, we're going on a hobby, and that's it.
He releases dolphins into the wild.
And he stopped him whilst he's doing it.
So, you know, like,
I saw people watching this episode.
yeah, you know, you get like Chuck Norris is saying and then in Warhammer you get Sly Marbo, and then it's like Darren Latham is so good that he can do that he can sculpt a Gene Stealer upgrade sprue whilst riding a dolphin.
Yeah. Before we go back to Daz, there's something that always made me laugh. Like near the studio, when it was like the design studio, which had miniatures and painters and everybody in it, like the rules writers.
Yeah.
There was the gents' toilets, four cubicles, a couple of urinals.
Oh, I could tell me Darren Latham had his own cubicle.
And then, well, I think the Perrys definitely had a favoured cubicle, or at least the sculptors did, because there's always green stuff on the floor and on the walls. So they go for a poo, and then I'm just there sculpting whilst having a poo. That is next level, man. There's always like at least 2 cubicles that just have bits of green stuff on the floor, when they just obviously wiped off, didn't need it, carried on. Oh, that's so that's genius.
I feel sorry for whoever had to like handle those molds afterwards.
Yeah, give him a wash.
Oh, dearie me. But yeah, what was I going to say? A couple of things. Well, before Darren, I think with this 3D printing and how quickly it could... Games Workshop, I feel like, aren't quick early adopters of technology.
No.
I think they're well into their IT and they're doing a big update or something like that because apparently they need it. But like, everyone's been saying digital with your rules for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've still got books. Yeah, and they do have the digital rules, but it's not like it's a bit of a weird system. You have to, and they're dragging their feet with it because they make loads of money on books.
Oh yeah.
And apparently, again, rumors was someone it was going to go digital a while ago, but then when maybe when Kev Roundtree came in, he was like, no, we make this many millions on books, we're going to keep doing books. And then it all got reintroduced. So I think they'll drag their feet with 3D printing and they'll only change when they absolutely have to.
Yeah, there's no options left.
And then back to Daz, he's been posting quite a bit on social media recently.
Yeah.
And maybe he's trying to increase his personal profile.
I mean, he's got a good profile already.
I noticed a little bit of not only hands for Daz, talking about what he's actually sculpted it outright, hasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. I saw his first post on like Warhammer 40k Reddit.
Yes, yeah,
And that kind of thing. Because I know like when Duncan left, he was like, he still is the profile picture of Grim Dank. Oh, it's like the Dank memes. So I don't. I mean, I don't want to.
I mean, I did that, to be fair. I built my profile a bit more because I was a bit lazy with social media for a long time.
Yeah.
So I had a Twitter. I didn't really tweet that much on. I had Instagram. Every now and again, I'd put a post out. And I think a bit of that was I'd lost a little bit of love for painting and playing, and that was during the hiatus of me being sort of like down in the dumps.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I can...
Yeah.
I'm not... Well, we should be at least... What's the word? Projecting if he's going to move or not, because I think he likes doing what he does.
Yes.
I think it's good for him. If he doesn't,
I don't think Darren's going anywhere.
No, if he does, I think it'll be really good for him.
I think does he do like I think he absolutely could go out on his own.
Oh, he'll.
Well, if he went out on his own, it would be the Darren Latham Studios. He would live.
Oh yeah.
It wouldn't be like.
But why would you call it anything else?
Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah. You can have a Patreon because he's head designer.
I don't know. He just designs heads.
Yeah.
We've seen the sprue.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah. It's pretty good at doing heads.
Yeah, too, aren't we?
And creator or the lead designer. Yes, why they he just designs dog leads. Yeah. So yeah,
I love that you were basically exasperated at your own joke.
Version of that for the joke, but not pipe. It is myself.
What a rough weekend. I want to go back to bed. Yeah. Yeah, I think he absolutely could go out on his own. He's one of the guys that has the profile to do it.
Oh, God, yeah. He would nail it. But he could paint the stuff he's made.
Yeah, but he could
Just have a floor too.
Yeah, you could literally be a one-man studio. But, like, you always... like if you're designing stuff, he would design great stuff that would look very similar to Workshop because he's obviously been there for so long. But like, there's that thing of like, do you make your own game that people don't necessarily care about, or do you say these could be proxies for other tabletop games, and that kind of thing. So,
Never tell the story about a Chaos Warrior painted. So it's probably the first month I'd turned up to the Army Painting Studio, and it was Chaos Warriors. So the time the plastic demon prints of that time came out, and the Knights, the Chaos Knights were new at the time as well. This is not the newer versions; it's just like the previous plastics. And he was doing colour variants in a day. So like Knights on foot. Sorry, Chaos Warriors on foot. He was like doing the colour variant in a day. Knights was taking like 2 days to do.
And he was in that.
He was lead paint. He was lead heavy metal paint at the time.
Oh, crap! Wow.
And I remember he had done a Chaos Warrior, and it was like a green ten. If I could find the book, I'd try and find the picture. And he'd done all the armour on the Chaos Warrior with all. It was mad. It was all the same skull shape and design, but it was all freehanded. So on the armour, it was like a skull.
Yeah.
And it was like a pattern of skulls across the armour. He also did it on the shield, and I'd seen it, and he came back the next day, and I was like, oh, I thought you'd done one on the armour. He was like, yeah, I didn't like it, so I painted over it. It looks better just on the shield. And I was like,
I feel like Darren Latham left heavy metal because he just completed painting.
yeah. I think he had.
It's like doing some PlayStation games, you platinum then.
Yeah. He was like, I've 100%ed painting now.
Yeah, it's like in Skyrim, isn't he? He's hit the top of that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna start a new game. I'm gonna be a designer. Oh, look at that! I'm the lead designer at Games Workshop. Like, where can he go now?
Presenter, designer, painter,
yeah,
then artist.
Oh, crikey! If you got him, well, no, because masterclass is going only hands, surely.
No, but no, that was in like he'll be his own presenter for his own thing.
Oh, sorry,
that'll be his next level.
I've got him on
presenting level. Probably I'd say at the moment, because of the channel stuff he's done already, is quite nicely spoken. 50%, 50-60%. So he's just got like about 40% to build up before he completes presenting.
Yeah.
And then if the next 6 hours, he presenting, wouldn't he? And it'd just be him going, hi, I'm Darren Latham, and the guy sitting next to him going, hi, I'm Henry Cavill.
And we've solved world hunger.
I always remember someone saying that when Daz and a couple of us that were quite big names in the studio at the time went for their appraisals, it would be like, not like, hey, Daz, so let's talk about you. It'd be like, hi, I'm Darren Latham. Let's talk about you.
I'm the manager.
Yeah, that's really good. Tell me more about what you do.
Oh, if he leaves, I'd love to get him on the show.
Oh, no.
He'd have so many stories and such an insight into the hobby.
Oh, yeah, he's such a positive guy. I mean, I remember he came over. He was the first heavy metal painter to come over and talk to me. He made me feel welcome. I've always got a lot of love for Daz.
Yeah.
Sometimes he can come across aloof, but he's not. He's just thinking. Yeah, just a bit deep thinker. But he's always been kind. He's always been really helpful. He's told me loads of stuff. Like, I was a time when I was painting an orc and I was struggling. He was just like, oh, I'll talk to you about glazing, show you some glazing, show me how to do glazing. I mean, I've never been Daz levels of glazing for sure, but he was always mesmerised by the speed that I do.
Yeah.
So he saw merit in what I did and absolute genius in what he did.
Yeah. Everything has its place.
Exactly.
I tell you, I remember him setting up as the young lad at Friar Lane.
No.
Yeah, I remember. I used to play at Friar Lane and hang around at that store, and it was literally like, so we're getting a lad start next week. Can't have paint. Oh, really? Like, and he come in, and it was like the minute it must have been like the minute he walked through the door on his first day. It was just obviously the cabinets had been emptied and just gone straight in there, mate. Just put it straight. And I had this beautiful Space Wolf Army, really nice, and it just went in the cabinet straight away. And he was lovely. He was dead friendly. I got on really well with him. And the moment when I thought, and I was bottling it, but because you're only a young guy, I was probably kicking nearly 30 by then, and I painted the very first Logan Grimnar to always running. The outside, and I'd done a reasonably good job for my level of painting him, and I bottled it on the face, I couldn't paint. The whole thing was painted this fiery ginger hair I'd given him and everything. I just this black face. And I went in there one day and I said to Darren, I said, you know, if you get any time in your days, Darren, could you maybe paint this face? Because I'm a bit, don't want us to do it. You know, and he went, and yeah, and he just went like that. And he went, just rolled out like 5 or 6 like flesh colours and browns. And he just went, right, okay. He went, and they went, literally about 15, 20 minutes later, there was a face you could have put in White Dwarf. He went, there you go, mate. Is that all right? So I was like, yeah, that's good.
Do you still have that?
I love you.
Never have them.
I don't. I sold all my Space Wolf hours. It was such a shame. It was lovely.
Sold
I sold a Latham down. I sold to Jeff Savory with a bit of Latham.
Yes.
Let's go.
I was buying it for the Jeff Savory.
You're not wrong. Yeah, but it was lovely. Really, really nice. The eyes were mega good on it. Yeah. And he was a really nice guy. Oh, you know what? No, didn't stay there very long. I got snaffled up to the shop up at Warhammer World.
Yeah.
And then he went from Warhammer World shop, wasn't there very long, and then he was in heavy metal and then he was
so he did a little reel TikTok of doing cables, has a strap cables, and I saw that. So the other night I've got carrying on painting my ashes, my Crimson Queens, or creams as I've been calling them. And I was doing my eyes and I was like, I'm really struggling with the eyes, and I was like doing a little bit here and out, and I can't remember why at the time I was just like putting up, and that turned up again, and he's just there just going stroke. Stroke. It's just like, I hate it.
open windows, brushes, pots.
There's a few people that I watch when I really want to hate myself, and Darren Latham's one of them. I think Richard Gray's another.
Oh yeah. It's the casualness of it with Richard Gray.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I did is I just stippled this bit. Which every 15 years time I should be able to do.
Yeah. So we've got like an interesting. I think it will come out just shortly. Will be the next like tutorial after this. Released. On lots of different ways how to paint yellow.
Yeah, I followed a bit of Richard Gray's, and wow, I was just like.
Interestingly, that was the first one that Jeff picked up.
Was it?
And was like, oh, I like that. So I think like we had our favourites, but then
it was an interesting video. It's all research maybe, and I learned a lot from that. Bit of research and stuff. Got a favourite.
Yeah.
We had some fun filming it.
We did.
We're not going to say that for the film.
Oh yeah.
Save it for the episode.
Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. Cool.
How's the building gone? All right.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got
Recycle. Nice.
So to reasonable starts.
Sort of.
And
very skinny Land Raider. Well,
I can be like a chow, can't you? Oh no, I'm Lobot. Oh, that's better guy.
Oh, we need to get you some. We need to get you a baggy sleeves.
Oh, and just all of the cosplayers are going to be buying Horus Heresy Land Raiders, right? And he was
awesome.
Shaving the head. But awesome character, never said anything, never did.
Yeah, but he did that great bit with the guard, didn't he? When he basically, the guard were now going to try and stop the storm. Sorry, and he just went.
Good job, Lobot.
Yeah, well done, Lobot.
Good job. And that's like where not Lobot, but similar scene, that guy running with the ice cream.
The ice cream maker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
did you ever see one of the conventions where there was like about 100 of that?
And they were all running.
They all running, holding the ice cream maker under their arm. But there's a guy as they evacuate Cloud City. He's just basically like in an orange jumpsuit, and he's carrying this what looks like this big technical piece of equipment, and he's running, and somebody basically went, "That's just an ice cream maker." But in its defense, it became more important to it because it was in the Mandalorian season 2 when the sheriff is explaining, running away from the tower, then coming back. He left with the load of jewels of that thing.
Yeah. Always did that have all the best car in it?
And it also had best star. They had all the best star in it, and he had one with something in it which he then traded with the Jawas to get.
Because there's an interview with Jon Favreau, and they were like, we know the heritage of this. We brought it back, and
so they call it a Camtona, don't they?
Is that what they are? Is that the name of the show? You can buy him as a figure. Like a running ice cream carrying map.
Yeah, the actual carrying thing is called a Camtona.
Yeah. But I mean, you can buy him.
I didn't know that.
They did him as a figure for a while.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like at these conventions, they have a certain time where they all get together and like leg it through the convention with their ice cream makers. Was it something that you said like if you want to build
Oh yeah, lightsabers. Yeah.
lightsabers, you have to get like a really old camera flash or something.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that. I remember reading about it.
All of the camera enthusiasts are really annoyed with Star Wars cosplayers because it's like they're trying to buy
On eBay, it's like a wall of sweet like people.
What for two very different
I just know. I wonder if it's like, who are all these kids like bidding on these retro ice cream makers?
Maybe with 3D printer now, you can just print
yeah. Well, it's not the same.
Not the same.
No, not the same.
No, I never realised the E11 Stormtrooper blaster, obviously based off of Sterling,
Still in there.
but it's windscreen wiper blades.
That's right.
So I never did that. No, I was like, that's cheated. Say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The good guy for that, I think his name is Jonathan something. There's a chap.
Does he work for Autoglad? Get you in screw on it.
He's one of the main curators at the Leeds Armoury,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and he does shows for Leeds Armoury, and he also does shows for GameSpot, the video game channel.
Yep.
And what he does is he really knows his stuff. He'll be going, he'll be like, we look at the games of Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and he'll go, yeah, that's pretty right, but the reload's not right, and if you look at the bullets, they're not lined up, and he will really take it.
I'll show you because he does.
I did a Star Wars episode.
He did Necromunda Hide Gun. He did all the guns.
He did the Hide Gun, and then he got him back and he did all the guns for Dark Tide.
Yes, yeah, didn't.
No, I think I saw that. And
Yeah, he's always in a suit with a t-shirt.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, but he did a Star Wars. Yeah, he's in a Star Wars episode. He did a Star Wars episode of going, that's this, and these are bit off that.
But I bet Darren Latham could pull off a jacket and t-shirt.
Oh, I think so.
Does he just pull them off?
Probably.
Go up or go.
Never even.
Yeah, that does.
No, never. I know what he looks like. I think.
Well, you would do because you'd see the glow of gold behind him as he was walking around.
Yeah, no, we were sat down at Goodwin's.
Yeah, and he walked
It's
past.
just kind of like on a seaweed he walked through. It's like, oh my god, there's God.
Yeah. We're not fan. We haven't fanboyed at all on Darren Latham in this episode. No, why it didn't get out of hand.
I mean, yeah, we've been going. This is probably our longest podcast. It's an hour and 32 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We should probably call it then.
Yeah, probably should. So,
But yeah.
before we call it, so we've got to run through the prizes again.
Oh, well, everyone's probably turned off by now. Oh yeah, there's prizes, a raffle.
Yes, but
There's a little page shop.
And we're looking at down by you, Jeff. There's a coat paint airbrush. There is a night desecrator, and then use the Inquisitor dude.
yeah, there's stuff there.
So if you are one of our patrons, you'll get entered into it automatically.
Yep.
And
also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And also, we have a Patreon, so do check us out on that.
yeah, and Discord's wonderful. I've been loving our little.
Yes, a few people have liked joining in. This is really fun. It's nice.
And I feel like it's a nice, supportive little place, and everyone chats, and everyone's nice. And
So,
There's been a lot of times where people have asked questions about painting, and I want to, like, every now and again, like, oh, I've missed, that was like a day ago, and I started going through it, and everyone's answered and helped them out. I'm like, what a great community.
yeah.
You don't need me, I'll just go.
Yeah.
Just go, you don't need me.
Yeah, it's right. It's not all about. It's not all about painting.
No, it's neat. There's a lot of it.
In some ways, I feel like it's like that Men in Sheds thing. I think it's like it's just a nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
so we touched on our subject, which was good. We talked about it for a little bit.
Give it a little tickle.
Yeah, our 3D printing, which was what our aim was, wasn't it? And
Kind of vain.
we've covered just about everything else.
OMG, Games Workshop should do 3D print stuff. Oh, wargaming is over.
You never know what.
Yeah, let's workshop the title.
Or worse of the title in the show. I like it. Games Workshop hates 3D printing.
Games Workshop, its own worst enemy.
Does Latham for Prime Minister? Yes.
I think he could just run like as an independent, and then
And then print his government out on a 3D printer.
he print his cabinet. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm left, I'm right," and you're going to annoy a lot of people. So if he's just like, "No, I'm not liberal conservative, I'm just Daz," and you're like, "All right, no,
Yeah, we'll follow that.
yeah, I'd do that.
And his whites are whiter than white when it comes to painting white.
Oh.
That's an old advert. That's an old.
Bye, everyone.